Piercing the veil. This entire month, which I can hardly believe we're coming to the end, Spirit has been guiding our way in an exploration of the deeply felt call within all of us to connect with, commune with, and be in conscious union with a power greater than ourselves, as Dr. Ernest Holmes says, which we call God and which we can use. We have realized that when we answer this pull, this draw, that we move into the mystic. And when we move into the mystic, we become living embodiments of the song that we sang earlier, Joy, Joy, Joy. And that song, as I mentioned before, was recently birthed from the creative energy of New Thought singer-songwriter Cerise Bertrand. I've got joy in my life, it never ceases to amaze me. Joy so negativity can't faze me. Joy like a rushing river through my soul. I've got to take it to the darkness, let it brighten the world. There's a fire burning deep inside. I've got to share it. Love, so much love, I almost cannot bear it. Peace, so much peace I'm living, namaste. And everywhere I go, light is leading the way. I am one with my source of all abundant good, so in touch, all of the ancient truths are understood. I've realized that all of the stuff that got my life off track, now my chakras are aligned, nothing can hold me back. Okay, I changed stuff from crap, but that's... and in this month of moving into the mystic, we have explored the importance of consciously diving into the realization that a mystic is not a mysterious person, but one who has a deep inner sense of life and of his or her unity with the whole. A mystic is one who senses the atmosphere of God in, as, and around, and through all that is, and knows that as infinite as is God, God is equally very, very personal to all who feel his indwelling, or its indwelling presence. We've said that as we consciously claim ourselves to be that which we seek, we too will know the status of a true mystic. And we've acknowledged that in this world, where we are pulled and tugged in so many directions, not only in our outer lives with duties and responsibilities, but in our inner life with emotions of hurt and upset, misunderstandings and anger, that cultivating the sweet and sacred place within us, the place of the I am, can sometimes take a back seat or can seem very difficult. We're going to look at this a little bit more today. But when we do cultivate it in times of conscious intention, in the silence, in prayer, by making conscious choices to cultivate it, even when it may seem difficult, it comes bursting forth in us in a form of intuition, love, peace, and clarity, or to sum up in the lyrics of today's song, joy. Today we bring our Into the Mystic month to a close by exploring the concept of piercing the veil, to live from that place on an ongoing basis. And I wanted to figure out how to do this. We went to the church we started in the church in Whittier. And in 1960, was it that Dr. Ernest Holmes was speaking at the dedication, brand new church, speaking at this church, and he had a vision. He had the piercing of the veil. He saw. And I wanted to play that recording, which we have it on tape, but I haven't been able to figure out how to put it into digital sound. But I'm working on that because I think it's a really interesting audio to listen to. So I love this affirmation, I love our affirmation for this month, which is, as I intentionally court the divine presence, I pierce the veil of separation and experience myself as an individualized center of God consciousness. I am one with the power of God, and it flows through me now. It is the presence of my real and true self. I am forever one with life. I am forever one with love. As I intentionally court the divine presence, I pierce the veil of separation and experience myself as an individualized center of God consciousness. I am forever one with life. I am forever one with love. That is what we're going to do today in a couple of very powerful and extremely important ways. But first, let's take a moment to talk about that veil of separation. What's up with that anyway? The root of much of our difficulty is the fact that we tend to identify ourselves as mind, as body, emotions, and conditions. We tend to look at the circumstances, the effects, what's out there in our lives, and we look at what's going on in our bodies, in our affairs, in our hearts, and in our heads, and we say that that is real. We say that that is our reality. At the level of our humanity, that is absolutely correct. And we don't deny any of it or minimize the impact that it can have on all of us. And we are more than that. I want you to know that right here and right now. We are so much more than that. We have bodies, but we are not our bodies. The body may be in different conditions of health or sickness, rested or tired, but it has nothing to do with our real self. We have a mind, but we are not our minds. Our minds may take us on some interesting journeys, and it may seem like we have no control over them, but that is simply not true. The real you is beyond your mind. We have emotions, but we are not our emotions. Our emotions may fluctuate, but our true nature does not change. We may have strong feelings about things, but we are not those feelings. There is something much, much more that we are. We are much, much deeper than our feelings at any given moment. We have experiences and conditions, but we are not our experiences and conditions. We may like some of them, we may dislike or strongly dislike others, yet they cannot touch our true selves. When we identify solely or in great proportion with the mind, the body, the emotions, or the conditions, we weave a tighter veil. And every time we get caught in our conditions, circumstances, emotions, thoughts, or the physical state of our bodies, we move into a sense of separation. And I say sense because we cannot and we never are separate from the one. Charles Fillmore, who is the founder of Unity, in his book Talks on Truth, wrote, "We see only form and make God a personal being located in a city of dimensions. This belief of separateness leads to ignorance because all intelligence is derived from the one divine mind, and when the soul thinks itself something alone, it cuts itself off in consciousness from the fount of inspiration. When we believe ourselves to be separate from our source, we lose sight of the divine harmony. We are like a musical note standing alone, looking upon other notes, but having no definite place upon the great staff of nature, the grand symphony of life." So who's heard of barbershop quartet or quintet? Have we all enjoyed barbershop quartets? Okay. Well, they sound so good. And the reason they sound so good is because they harmonize, right? But if you were just to hear one of them sing alone, it wouldn't sound so great. They're not meant to sound great by themselves. They're meant to harmonize and create a sound together. Each person has to sing their part and merge into one song in order for the exquisite nature of the song to be heard. And even though we know this, piercing the veil may not come easily, for most of us have been under the tyranny of our minds, our bodies, our emotions, and our conditions for a very long time. Would you say that that's a fair statement? Okay, we've been there? Okay. How many of us have been under the tyranny of one of those things in just the past 24 hours? I can think of moments. I've had moments in the past 24 hours. Well, here's some good news about the path of the mystic. It's progress. It's a progressional thing. It is not perfection. It's something that's ongoing. Remember the story that I told a few weeks ago about the truth seeker who then collected a group of other truth seekers desiring to sit at the feet of some of the great mystics? Do some of you remember that? If you weren't here, then this is great. You get to kind of hear it again. Their journey was arduous and it took a long time. But finally they made it to the precipices where they were told that the great mystics lived. They were in search of the truth. And when they arrived and went into the room and saw the robed, hooded master sitting around the table, they were so excited. Finally, this moment made the long and difficult journey worthwhile. And when they neared the robed, hooded mystics, they made a discovery. At first, it was a horrifying discovery. Does anybody remember what that discovery was?
Oh, yeah.
What was the discovery?
That there was no one there, it was them.
The robes were empty. And then one of the travelers realized that they were to put on the robes because they were the mystics that they were seeking. Okay, so you do remember.
Oh, yeah.
I love it when you pay attention. That's great. There's a story about two wolves.
Two wolves.
Two wolves. And they're fighting each other. Do you think that during the journey there may have been some disagreements about how things should have been handled? It's a group of people. They're all seeking the truth. They're going to find these mystics. You think they're all getting along and everything?
No.
There might be some, okay. Maybe which road to take? Who should lead? Who should follow? Whether they should rest or keep on going? Do you suppose any of these things and maybe more came up? Okay. Do you think that the long and arduous journey had anything to do with their ability to put on the robes? Could it be that in fact it was the journey, the process of their lives, that they became the mystics? Because if they were already the mystics when they started out, there would be no reason to leave and go search for them, right? It's the journey that brings us to our mystical nature, right? Our mystic nature. I love the story of a group of women in a Bible study. There's this group of women and they're studying the passage of Malachi 3:3, which says, "He will sit as a refiner and purifier of silver." And this verse puzzled the women in the Bible study group, and they wondered aloud what this statement meant about the character and nature of God. One of the women offered to find out what the process of refining silver was all about and to get back to the group at their next Bible study. That week she called a silversmith and she made an appointment to watch him work. She didn't mention anything about the reason for her interest beyond her curiosity about the process of refining silver. And as she watched the silversmith, he held up a piece of silver and he held it over the fire and he let it heat up. He explained that in refining silver, you need to hold the silver in the middle of the fire where the flames are the hottest to burn away all of the impurities. The woman thought about how sometimes we seem to be held in some pretty hot spots, right? Like the heat's been turned up here. And then she thought again what the verse says. He sits as a refiner and purifier of silver. She asked the silversmith if he had to sit there in front of the fire the whole time that the silver was being refined. The man answered, "Yes, not only do I have to sit here holding the silver, but I have to keep my eye on the silver the entire time that it is in the fire. If the silver is left a moment too long in the flames, it could be ruined." The woman was silent for a moment. Then she asked the silversmith, "How do you know when the silver is fully refined?" He smiled at her and answered, "Oh, that's easy, when I see my image in it." Imagine that. Oh, that's easy, when I see my image in it. Oh, we must put on the robes because we are the mystics. It is through the fire, it is through the journey that the image of the divine is brought forth through us. One way that the individuals try to pierce the veil and get fully in touch with spirit is to engage in the process of fasting. Has anybody ever done something like that? Well, I want to suggest this morning, not a fast from food, but rather a fast and a feast as we journey through this life experience. It goes like this. Fast from judging yourself and others. Feast on the great I am, dwelling in you and in them. Fast from apparent darkness. Feast on the reality of light. Fast from pessimism and feast on optimism. Fast from thoughts of illness. Feast on the wholeness that is God. Fast from words that pollute. Feast on phases that purify. Fast from anger. Feast on understanding. Fast from worry. Feast on divine providence. Fast from unrelenting pressures and feast on unceasing prayer. Fast from hostility. Feast on non-resistance. Fast from bitterness and feast on forgiveness. Fast from anxiety and feast on hope. Fast from ego and feast on love. And this last one is critically important because, in the words of New Thought giant Emmett Fox, he said, "There is no difficulty that enough love will not conquer, no disease that enough love will not heal, no door that enough love will not open, no gulf that enough love will not bridge, no wall that enough love will not throw down, no sin that enough love will not redeem. It makes no difference how deeply seated may be the trouble, how hopeless the outlook, how muddled the tangle, how great the mistake. A sufficient realization of love will dissolve it all. If only you could look, only you could love enough, you would be the happiest and the most powerful being in the world." So I told you earlier today that we would pierce the veil in a very powerful and extremely important way. And we're going to do that here this morning. And that is what we're going to do now as I ask you this question. How could you in your life pierce the veil with greater love? Let's explore this. Close your eyes if you choose and go within. Let's take a couple of cleansing breaths. Breathe in through your nose and release through your mouth. And ask yourself the question, is there a part of me that I feel is unlovable? Perhaps you feel that there's a part of you that is impatient or judgmental. Surround that part of you with unconditional love, knowing Spirit is love and there can be no separation from Spirit. There can be no part of you that is not Spirit in expression. When you are ready, bring your attention to an experience in your life that seems unlovable. Surround that experience with the unconditional love of Spirit, knowing that all experiences in our lives work for our highest good. Next, offer a consciousness of love to someone in your life that you have had a difficult time loving. Surround this person with the unconditional love of Spirit, knowing that you are one. Now offer a consciousness of love to a place or situation in our world that you have had a difficult time loving. It can be someplace local or within our state or our country or even the world. Surround this place, this location with the white healing light of Spirit, sending waves of unconditional love around it. From our innermost being, we have risen out of ourselves and beyond the world of effect to see the truth. We have now pierced the veil, and together we have sailed into the mystic. And so it is.